Trust me when I tell you that recovery may be the biggest key to defense. We're gonna get beat as defenders. You're telling me that anyone on the planet can stay directly in front of any NBA guard for a whole possession even? Very rare. And this isn't just NBA players. Basketball favors the offensive side, so we're gonna get beat. It's inevitable. So just as much as we work on staying in front of defenders, we need to train recovering when we don't stay in front. I'll break it down to a science for you. So first is just learning to sprint in a manner that's going to help us recover and be in the most optimal position to engage the offensive player. Sprinting is faster than sliding, period. If you're running away from a wild animal, you're not going to do a defensive slide. You're going to sprint because that's the fastest way we can possibly move as humans. We're built to move primarily in the sagittal plane. So as a result, defense involves way more sprinting than you think. Kobe gets beat here, and what does he do? He turns and sprints to recover. Same thing with Allen here. And you'll see every good defender do this on pretty much every possession, even if it's just for a stride or two. But this is a skill in itself. In terms of technique, notice that in this case, all of these rotations into that sprint are well synced up between the feet and the midsection. So what I mean by that is we don't want to lag where we initiate the movement with our torso and then follow with our feet. It's going to be ineffective and we could get injured. Watch how Kobe's foot, hip or pelvis, and the midsection are all rotating at the exact same time. The body is rotating in perfect harmony. Or we can swing our opposite leg over and use a crossover step. And this obviously isn't something we think about as we move, but it's important to analyze yourself on film. Find if you're doing anything suboptimally and make sure we're training the most efficient movement patterns. Plus, it's something that's going to come with a lot of repetition, which is why the drills that I'll put in the description will be so important, and just playing a lot of defense. Also related is learning to dissociate the upper body from the lower. In other words, being able to rotate your upper body in a different direction from that in which you're sprinting. So you'll essentially be sprinting, but your chest will be facing towards the offensive player. So this is pretty similar at times to what we see defensively in soccer, which who knows, could be why Kobe is so good at it, just a guess. And while it doesn't seem like anything too difficult, there's something that many players struggle with just because they've never really emphasized it. It may have a mental block, so just a few simple drills could help with that. Anyways, once you get in front with that sprint, we don't want to keep sprinting. We want to be able to flip our hips back and do a lateral slide rapidly. And notice this could end up being only 1 or 2 strides of sprinting before turning back laterally. So it's all got to be in a split second. Another pretty simple component of it is that quote-unquote second jump ability that coaches have talked about from a rebounding perspective for years. Especially when your matchup gives you a pump fake or you land in a hot position. You've got to be able to bounce out of that quickly. And that's purely a product of the ability to use the stretch shortening cycle in a very reactive manner. I've talked about that a ton, but if you're not fully aware of what all that stuff means, which is okay, it's in simplest terms how quickly and how powerfully you can pop off the ground following a landing. And as you can see, this quality is very, very important. Next is closeouts, which are probably the toughest situations you can be in as a defender, considering you're going to have to go from sprinting forward to generally sliding backwards. As many of you guys know, coaches generally teach small, choppy steps on closeouts, which isn't necessarily wrong. You'll just never see many elite defenders exaggerating this. I'd say closeouts are the best when those steps aren't too long like right here, but also aren't too short. So the main things here are 1, making sure your feet are pretty squared and not one too much higher than the other one like on this play. Because if one foot is all the way up there, it's going to be hard to fully rotate and you'll probably get your doors blown off. And 2, making sure your feet are out in front of your center of mass to decelerate you. So if I took a shin angle right here, it would be a pretty wide angle. And obviously don't jump until after they're in the air. That'll ruin everything. And last is the angles that you're taking. If you get beat, you're not going to go to where they're at. You're going to go to where they're going and cut them off. This once again is seen in an exaggerated manner on the soccer field due to the much bigger pitch. And it just so happens that Kobe was fantastic at this once again. So if you guys want some drills for this, I put them in the description of this video. Try them out, see how they go for you, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.